Hey, this is Danielle over at 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐤.com, and today I'm going to show you my fencing here. It is Flex Vinyl Fencing from, I forget the name. I will put it in the comments. Yes, so Ramm, thank you. Ramm Flex Fencing, not sponsored post. I actually bought the Ramm fencing used from someone local that was downsizing or getting rid of their farm, really. So this is used fencing. I did have to buy some new brackets, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the brackets I have. So these are the old-fashioned tighteners. They go in the middle of your line, like right about there or wherever. You also have the little brackets here that go on every post to hold it in place. These look like these. They're very easy to install. We also have, these are some old pieces that were for ends. These are the newer ends. And my favorite option, which isn't right here, so I'm going to go drive over and show you what they look like. There are newer ends that actually have the tightener as part of it. They are more expensive, but I would say buy those. Okay, and last but not least, these are the ends, the newer ends. As you can see, I had a lot of issues not scraping it up, hammering in these two pieces. I don't know if using screws here would help alleviate some of those issues. This here, easy to install. Usually the best way to do this is we pre-drill this hole. We try to get this up as much as possible, pull it tight, and then once you've done that, you put a, I forget what they're called, a wrench in there, and it just tightens right up. And you can do it with one versus those ones that go in the middle use two. And the ones in the middle are a little bit harder. This makes it so much easier to tighten the fence. As you can see, we haven't tightened this one. Oops. We haven't tightened this one, but that's because we still need to add a brace here and concrete this post in. Ideally, you want your ends concreted because so much pressure gets put on these end posts, and you'll just pull your post over if they're not concreted in. These, however, let me see. This one may have been pounded in. I had a bunch of posts pounded in, so they're pretty solid, especially because our ground is so rocky. However, we are going to add concrete just to make sure it won't move. In summary, buy these. Do not buy the middle ones. They're expensive. My husband was like, they're so expensive. I wouldn't necessarily go with them first. But as a woman who often wants to install fencing by myself or stretch fencing by myself, I prefer something that's a one-person job. The other tightener requires my husband to pretty much put all his weight in to tighten it while I put the pins in. These pins are also shorter. You only have to put them through one section. Actually, I think there might be two, maybe not. You only have to put them through one section, and usually you'd put two in here. I have not finished tightening it, so I haven't done that. But yeah, like the other ones, they're long pins. You have to get them in the bottom hole too. So I just recommend these, even though they're expensive. You're better off just getting the good thing that's easy to install, easy to adjust, easy to tighten. Just make your life easier. It's worth it. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the rest of the process. I'm going to show you the different pieces and how they adjust and just some basic information about it. Okay, today we're going to talk about installing flex vinyl fencing. You can see it here on this side. We are putting it up on this side. I figured I'd show you what we're doing. So the first thing we're doing is we installed our posts. We also have our gate area. This is where it's going to go. We actually have to add the brackets back in, remove them from this one and put it on this. We also have to brace these, but we're starting out by stretching this all along the field. Okay, your second part is you have to drill the holes for these. So this one uses a larger drill bit, and I drilled that, pre-drilled that, and then I'm tightening this. But this is the front part of the fencing, and it bends very easily. It's got kind of like a wire inside it. Anyways, it bends very nicely, so you have to just kind of like, it takes a little bit of pressure, but you just bend it over. You don't need a lot because it's so stiff, it's not going to pull like string or anything. So I'm just doing this much here. I'd originally started thinking I'd do this, so still messed up. Just note that your 2 screws for here and here are going to be, or bolts, are a little different size. So you're using a different drill bit for size for these than you are for these. I did not pre-drill these holes yet. I'm going to put this in place and then I will do the other 2. Your washer goes here on the outside. And I'm just going to go ahead and tighten this. I'm not going to get it as tight as it can go right away. I just want it fairly flush so that I can figure out where the holes are going to be here. I went yesterday and screwed in just the top for each of these brackets. I have a post I use that measures out the height, that shows me where to start and end each one. So I just hold it up, make the marks, and then I can use it all the way around. As you can see, I'm rolling this out and making sure before I screw it into each section that it's all in the correct direction so it's not twisted. I'm just going along doing one post at a time. It's a little tricky because these are kind of a little bit wonky, but just twisting them as I go. So ideally you have your fencing all stretch out properly so it's not twirled like this. But what I've been doing is I've been pulling it tight from the other end here and there so it'll kind of unwind at that end. But the other thing I've been doing is pretty much I back up to this and hold it and try to sort it with my hand as I push my back against the against it to keep it straight. Once I get to my post, I go ahead and slip it underneath this bracket and screw it in place. So as you can see, it's not tangled. It kind of is hard to tell because it does still look a little wrinkly, but I've got this here. I'm probably going to pull it tight at this point because it's got a lot of like curls in it, and pulling it all tight will help get it out a little bit. But I've done this with 3 sections of fencing so far. It really kind of sucks, but if you had someone unwinding your roll properly at the other end, you wouldn't have to do that, but because I've been doing this mostly on my own, I've just kind of been dealing with it. Okay, so these brackets here are splicers, and this was actually already on one, so I pulled it off so I can show you what it looks like, and also so I didn't have to unwind this part. So all you're doing really with these is bending them. So as with the end pieces, these are very stiff. They are not hard to bend. I mean, they are hard to bend, but they're very hard to unbend. So even when you're tightening the fence, this isn't going to pull through. So essentially, we are going to put this through here and then bend it back over to go back through here. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, we're actually going to go through this way. Right through here. Man, this is hard to do with one hand, or two, yeah, one hand. Okay, so we're putting it through here. Okay, and we're going to bend it and put it back through this section so it looks like this. Okay, so here it is, and I'm going to go ahead and continue pulling this straight until I'm all the way to the end. We've got some of the older hardware and some of the newer hardware. So this is a corner piece that also allows tightening. We wish we had done it on the other post, but we're doing it on this end post instead, which is a little on the sketchy side, but we're making it work. This one uses 2 nails, and it also has the 1 screw to go through the big hole, and then you get 2 little pieces that these little pegs go in when you're tightening them. Okay, so I pre-drilled the hole. This is going to be like this, but I'm just going to install this. Okay, so we flipped this piece. It comes right out, and we just put the disc and the little lock back in place. These are going to be towards the top while we're adjusting. Just right there for now. And now we're going to run the fencing through it. Okay, so before you go ahead and cut it and attach it here, you want to get it as long as or tight as possible. by hand, which is gonna be limited because it's pretty hard to move. Is that it? Where do you want me to cut it?
3 inches past the slot there.
Okay, so these cut through it pretty well. They cut through the wire that's on either side. And you can use it to keep going, but I find it's a little easier to, I think I swap to tin snips usually. So you can see this cuts this part pretty well. Okay, so now that it's cut, you're going to throw it through the slot. And that's it.
And then we're going to get the ratchet in.
Okay.
Now, either you ratchet or hold this.
Is this big enough?
Should be.
Where do you ratchet it?
No, you have to take that out.
Ah, that's why. I was going to say. Okay, so you get your ratchet, and we're just going like this, right?
Yep.
So you tighten it as much as you can, put your pin in, and then you're going to come back around and tighten it some more because you only have so much room for movement. And you got to take your pin out.
You got to tighten it a little bit so it comes out. Okay, now you gotta go.
I was so excited. Okay, so we're going to get it as tight as we can. And we are going to keep repeating this until this fence. You ready? And those pins just hold this all in place. You'll see there's only a couple slots they can go in. These ones they can't. And we just do the same process for the other two. Alrighty, so here we are, we're just tightening it. I ended up going back and we had to loosen this because when we went to tighten the fencing, it kind of started pulling the post out of the ground. It's only because we used an auger and also because we didn't concrete the post in. So we went back, concreted it in, concreted the support as well a little bit, I believe. And then here it is set up on the other side of the field on winter and summer. You see it's lovely, very easy to install. Overall, I'm very happy with it. It's a lot less work than installing wood fencing and probably less expensive because we went with used fencing. So hope that was helpful. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, just leave me a comment. I'll try to get back to you. Check out my blog, 𝐷IYDanielle.com. Sometimes I'll have some extra details on there. So thanks so much. Have a great day and take care.